Welcome back to my class again. I'm slightly modifying my approach for my viewers from today onwards. We shall continue with organic chemistry, but simultaneously, I thought I can as well make videos on some other topics of chemistry such that people who require they can view this and get the needed advantage. Today, I'm starting with electrochemistry. How do we approach any topic? I have a feeling, first of all, you must focus on the title itself, electrochemistry. That must ring in your mind. And if you're very clear and your interpretation and understanding of the title is correct, probably you are on the right approach and the first steps you're taking will be very, very clear in due course of time for in-depth study of that particular topic. The term electro, of course, means there must be an involvement of electrons. And chemistry, of course, you are aware of. We're dealing with many, many chemical processes. So I'm keen. What are those processes where electrons are involved, where electrons are obvious? As you are aware of, we have one category of reactions called as redox reactions. There is another category called as acid-base reactions. I'm focusing on redox reactions as the first step to introduce to you what actually is this electrochemistry, redox reaction. The redox reaction is a combination, reduction and oxidation. We abbreviate that and call that as redox reaction. Let me give an illustration for this. What actually is a redox reaction? I'm taking I'm taking a very, very familiar example here, wherein I am taking sodium plus chlorine, probably one of the easiest examples you can easily follow. This is my sodium and this is my chlorine to form NaCl. This reaction is quite familiar for all of you, I'm sure about that. Now in this reaction, if you watch, I have taken sodium. I want to monitor the change that sodium has undergone, and also what is the change chlorine has seen as they are getting converted to sodium chloride. If you take the first one, we try to monitor the reaction atom to atom based with reference to what is called as oxidation number. This is the elemental state representation of sodium. This is elemental state representation of chlorine. And elemental state means normally assign oxidation number 0 and 0. Always. Now focus on this please, because there is no net charge here. That means the charges must be equal and opposite in magnitude. Equal and opposite in magnitude. So if you first take sodium, it has converted from sodium to sodium plus 0 to plus 1. That is, there is an increase in oxidation number. Such a reaction where there is an increase in oxidation number is called as oxidation reaction. Oxidation reaction, increase in oxidation number. If you focus for chlorine now, it has come from 0 on the reactant side and got itself converted to -1. 0 to -1 means there is decrease in oxidation number. And whenever oxidation number decreases, we call that as reduction. Briefly, in this reaction we have seen reduction and oxidation are taking place simultaneously. And this type of reaction is called as a redox reaction. Because we have recognized there are two distinctive parts in the redox reaction. Next, what we'll do is we'll write each of the reactions, half reactions, that is the reduction part of the reaction and oxidation part of the total reaction as separate entities. Let me write that and we'll talk about that. I'm writing here again the same reaction divided into two parts. That is only for greater clarity of the reaction. The first part is sodium. It is in this reaction. It has what is the change? It has become plus 1. Therefore, it has lost the electron minus. That is because we have called this topic as electrochemistry. Let us focus on this type of writing the reaction to gain greater insight into redox reactions. Suppose next I am taking chlorine, and I think it has accepted the electron to get converted to Cl minus. That means sodium is losing electron and that lost electron is gained by chlorine. Therefore, you can easily see this part and this part, how the electrons are moving. In one half, electron is lost. Therefore, other half, that electron must be accepted. In other words, if you watch out here, this is the first thing. Try to divide the equation into two halves so that you can see clearly the movement of electron. Again, if I go back to my original equation, sodium plus half chlorine, it is getting converted to NaCl. So what has happened in this case, if I am again recombining them, the electron from sodium has gone to chlorine. It has shifted. Therefore, because this is losing electron, it has become plus. Because Cl2 is accepting electron, it has become minus as we have shown in the first reaction. So, what is happening? If you watch out here, if you look into chlorine or if you look into sodium, is it undergoing oxidation? What is oxidation? Where there is increase in charge, oxidation above. Or all those reactions where electron is lost, all those reactions where electrons are lost, they are called as oxidation. I will use an acronym here, LEO. That is loss of electron oxidation. And this is GER. Gain of electron is reduction. Now, if you watch out here, what has happened here? Focus on this. Sodium is losing electron. You must be clearly bearing this point in mind. Sodium on its own cannot lose electron just like that. Not possible. There must be some reagent in the vicinity, in the neighborhood of sodium, which must be helping this process. Without that reagent, I don't think you should not expect sodium shall lose electron. No. Therefore, the reagent that is in the vicinity of sodium is chlorine. So, this reaction is helped by the presence of chlorine. And what is the name of this reaction? We have called it as oxidation. Therefore, don't you think this is assisted by chlorine? Therefore, in the above reaction, Cl2 is oxidizing agent. Cl2 is oxidizing agent. Similarly, now focus your attention on chlorine. Is chlorine undergoing reduction? Yes, because it is gaining electron. Gain of electrons is reduction. But again, the same point, on its own, there is nothing like electrons are coming from somewhere. No. Some reagent must be there in the neighborhood of chlorine, which can give electrons to that. Therefore, in presence of a reagent only which can supply electrons, this reaction is possible. What is that reagent here? Sodium. Sodium gives electrons. Therefore, sodium is assisting this reaction. What is this reaction? It is a reduction reaction. Therefore, sodium is reducing agent. Sodium is reducing agent. That is, I am very keen to share with you. Most of you are familiar with acid-base reactions, probably mostly out of familiarity. As you can recognize an acid and a base in a particular chemical reaction, you must have the same fluency now by which you can recognize, yes, this is an oxidizing agent, this is a reducing agent. Now in this case, sodium is the reducing agent and chlorine is the oxidizing agent. Now if you look into periodic table, probably you can make out from their positions. Sodium belongs to the first group, alkali metals, and chlorine belongs to the seventh group or halogen family. Therefore, as a group, my first group elements are reducing agents, and as a group, halogens are oxidizing agents. This is one way of recognizing them. But in electrochemistry, we have a far better method by which you can make out which is an oxidizing and which is a reducing agent, such that at the end of this video lectures, you must be very fluent in recognizing an oxidizing agent and also a reducing agent. And not only that, you must be able to assign what is the strength of this oxidizing agent or what is the strength of the reducing agent. That should be our ultimate aim. Now, in this reaction, because this is very familiar, I've started with this. Hope you can easily recognize what is an oxidizing agent and what is a reducing agent. So, a reducing agent is the one, try to follow, which undergoes oxidation. And an oxidizing agent is one which undergoes reduction. There will be no confusion. The statements are very close together. So, after clearly monitoring what is happening here, I am able to confidently state chlorine is an oxidizing agent and sodium is a reducing agent. Now, I wish to carry out one experiment such that you have a greater insight into the movement of electron. Remember, we are talking about electrochemistry, and electrochemistry means electrons must be involved in a particular chemical process. So, I am taking one good example. First of all, let me draw a diagram. I will try to make it as presentable as possible. Let me first describe that. There is a beaker, glass beaker. Of course, in chemistry lab, I use glass beakers normally because of the visibility becomes easy for me. And in that, I am taking copper sulfate solution. And as you are aware of, copper sulfate has a very beautiful, bright blue color. Therefore, you can easily imagine, suppose that blue color solution in a glass beaker, and into that I am dipping a zinc rod into that. Zinc rod, of course, does not have a color. It is just like if you clean it with a properly, it looks like silvery. Otherwise, it is just no color, no particular assignment for that. So I am taking these two chemicals. One is elementary state zinc in the form of a rod, other copper in the form of an ionic form called as copper plus 2. So let me draw the diagram first. So if you watch out here, my diagram is this. This is what I was telling you. This is my beaker, and this is the copper sulfate solution that I was referring to, copper sulfate, which is blue in color, and what I have dipped here, I am putting here as a rod here. This is zinc rod. Hope you are able to visualize that setup here, and this is blue colored solution. What all I did was getting two chemicals in contact with each other. Otherwise, I am not doing any other thing. Neither am I heating, nothing like that. And I keep them in contact and wait for some time. What will happen after some duration of time? Very interesting things are happening in the beaker. The blue color, which was so attractive, in due course of time, it becomes slightly pale blue color or faded out blue color. And what about the zinc rod, which we have taken thick one, it becomes slightly thinner. I may be exaggerating while I am drawing the diagram. I may be drawing like a wire, but definitely you can make out the dimension of zinc has decreased. And in the bottom of the flask, you see some red colored solid particles settling down. So let me draw what all I was talking again as a diagram. Now what do we see here? I am having after some time, again I am redrawing the beaker, and I'm just putting a line. Don't imagine it is getting converted to wire. I need to indicate here by the diagram that zinc has becoming thinner. And what happened to the solution is that I have drawn here. Now that has become pale blue, unlike beautiful blue color which you are able to see at the start of the experiment. And in the container, in the bottom of the container, have some red colored solid particles settling down. That means from here to here, because you can easily see some obvious physical changes in terms of thin rod, and in terms of the pale blue color, and in terms of the red solid particles formed, we can associate this with a chemical reaction. Something must be happening here. So I wish to write on the same thing here. To start with, we'll take up first of all zinc. So what has happened to zinc here? Zinc has become slightly thinner now, that rod. So I will draw what is the corresponding equation for that. What is the corresponding equation that must have led to that change in observation? My zinc must have been converted to zinc plus 2, and it has lost 2 electrons. That is, it has gone to solution now. Zinc plus 2 solution has no color. Hmm? Then what is the other thing that could have happened here? My copper plus 2, which I have taken the solution, copper plus 2, was it not getting converted to red color dots here? That means it must have accepted the electrons to get converted to copper in the zero state. That is, a redox reaction is taking place without any further effort. What is the only one effort I am putting here? I am keeping them in contact with each other. Beyond that, I am not helping the reaction. That means the reaction is taking place on its own. Now what has happened here? My zinc, once it gets converted to zinc plus 2, it has to lose 2 electrons. That means, is it not undergoing oxidation? Again, you write down loss of electrons, oxidation. And what about the latter part, please? Is it not gaining electrons? 100%. Therefore, we call this as gain of electrons reduction. Gain of electrons is reduction. These two processes are taking place simultaneously. That means my electron, if this is the zinc rod, if you watch it, zinc rod, I think electrons are moving on its own from zinc rod to copper plus 2 solution. 2 electrons are added to this, and therefore we are able to see this copper plus 2 accept these 2 electrons and drop down as copper in the zero state. Beautiful redox reaction. This can be performed easily with minimum of chemicals. Now if you watch out here, the beauty of this redox reaction is the movement of electrons appears to have a gradient. I repeat, what is a gradient, please? Something like a slope. As per slope only the water flows. Similarly, in this case, electrons have a slope to move from zinc to copper. Zinc to copper. And such reactions which are taking place on their own, we have a beautiful expression in thermodynamics. We call them as spontaneous processes. That is, this redox reaction or this particular reaction, the electron movement is spontaneous from zinc to copper. And all such spontaneous processes we can quantify, we can understand with the help of free energy. Therefore, this is a redox reaction where delta G is negative, because if delta G is negative, that means these redox reactions are taking place spontaneously. Similarly, there could be a possibility where redox reactions may not be spontaneous. That is, electron movement does not take place. Even though all facilities are available in the container, still it won't take place. We must use some outside agency to carry that redox reaction. Therefore, we have two types of redox reactions. We shall use delta G as a reference to understand both these types of reactions. In one type of reaction, we have delta G negative redox reactions. The other type of redox reactions are those where delta G is positive. So, let me write that as a first conclusion in this video. I am having my electrochemistry divided into two parts. What are these two parts I am taking here? All those reactions, redox reactions, where delta G is negative, and all those reactions where delta G is positive. We have right now considered only these reactions where delta G is negative. In the next video, we shall talk about what type of reaction we are going to discuss here and what type of reaction we are going to discuss here. Hope this is very clear for you. Let us stop at this point and continue after some time.